Okay, we're recording now, Jane. All right, so I want to appreciate everybody that kind of went around the room and gave me what they're here for. And I didn't call on the score, guys. I know that you guys are just here to participate and keep an eye on me, make sure I'm behaving, right? Well, not a yes. So what I'm going to do today is we're gonna go through a seminar that I put together that is focused on trying to help businesses throughout the pandemic period. And one of the things that has come to an understanding is that online marketing is extremely important when we go through this. So the seminar is focused primarily on online marketing. I do touch on some key points. Betsy, I had picked up on some of them earlier, and I'm going to reiterate some of the things that she already talked about. So with that, what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and get my presentation started, and we will jump right in. This presentation, how much time do I actually have for this? Is there a limit?
Well, we said 8 o'clock, but I know you like to take questions. So it depends if you want to hold them to the end or you want to have them as you go along. It's a smaller group. So
Okay.
Whatever you want to do, Lance.
Yep, not a problem. So 8 o'clock, that's plenty of time. So let me get this thing going. All right. Growing your business in COVID-19. So one of the things that I struggle with here is that I lose my mouse in this new version of Zoom and Keynote. So all I'm going to ask is that if somebody does have a question, just you can unmute and just ask. This group is small enough, so I'm not worried about it. So a little bit about myself. My name is Lance Lyford. I own a company called Conquest. We are based out of Avon. I live in Northwest Connecticut. I work with a lot of businesses up in Northwest Connecticut, and I do a lot of seminars through Chamber, through SCORE, through various other avenues at Advance, for example. So when I teach these classes, I'm more focused on trying to help you. I do not try to sell my business. If anybody has interest in anything with Conquest, you can just kind of contact me afterwards so that we don't spend any time in there. If you guys have specific questions on the content I'm going over, please stop me and ask it. If it's more general questions, it'd probably be good to hold those to the end so that way we can spend a little time on them without breaking up the flow of the actual presentation itself. All right. So with that, let's get started. Strategies to grow your business during the pandemic. So let's start off. A couple things. I actually have to move. My Zoom bar is right in the middle. Hang on. My Zoom bar is right in my title. I can't see anything when this is up here. All right. Okay. So I brought it right back up. So maybe I'll just ask you guys to read me what the titles are. So I think this is nurturing your existing clients, I believe. So one of the things that most businesses, they rely on a steady stream of new customers to kind of keep their business solvent. And it's very easy to panic when you see your sales kind of dry up overnight, or people kind of frozen in place and not sure what to do. And an immediate reaction for most business owners is to try to jump in, bring in new sales immediately, instead of trying to focus on retaining the existing customer base that you have. One thing to keep in mind is that, and this is true, one retained customer equals 4 sales prospects. If you get 4 sales prospects, you're lucky to get a 25% close rate, then that's one customer that you already have. That was one of the strategies that we did when we actually went through the pandemic. We focused 100% on our existing clients, did not look at bringing in a new customer base at that time. And it was tough, but it was something that was important, and it was a strategy that works. I have to move this to actually see what my titles say. Let's see if I can get somehow in here. Hang on. This is going to be a major handicap if I can't see. It just keeps going right back to the top. All right. I'm just going to have to deal with this with the titles. So I'm assuming this is prospecting. And one of the things that most businesses have been doing through the pandemic is bringing everybody at home to work. And it's very easy to feel isolated. It's very easy to kind of feel withdrawn. But what you have to understand is that everybody's in the same boat, and everybody has formed business relationships with people, and they almost feel that the business relationships were kind of severed when COVID-19 happened. And that's so far from the truth. And just as you are sitting back in your home trying to figure out how you're going to bring in business, how you're going to try to connect with people. Other people are at home thinking the exact same thing. So what you want to do is reach out to all the contacts that you have known, leverage the relationships that you've already established, and use and leverage off each other to try to continue to get the additional leads that you're looking for. This is a time to be flexible. This is definitely not business as usual. And if you're trying to just ride out the pandemic, that is not going to be the right course of action for your business. This is definitely a time to start thinking outside the box. You have to accommodate for limitations in your business and realize that a lot of the changes that we make now that may seem as though we're working around the pandemic really will become the norm of tomorrow. This is not going to be something that will come and then completely disappear. This is changing the way a lot of people do businesses, the way a lot of people think, and the way a lot of people live. This is something that you have to realize will impact business as we move throughout the next 5-10 years. You want to change the way you're marketing to people. One thing to realize is that people's lives and habits have changed. A majority of people are working from home. Hang on, I'm trying to move so many Zoom windows out of my way. Let me just minimize this. You guys, I won't be able to see you, so you just have to speak up if you're going to say anything. So the majority of people are remotely working from home, and most people are just tied to a desktop computer. And I know that myself, my staff, everybody literally is just sitting in front of a computer for most of the day. The majority of an average day is spent on Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, interactions are at an all-time low. So you have to think of new ways to try to attract new customers, and marketing strategies that may have worked in the past aren't going to be the same strategies that work in our near future. So one of the things that we want to focus on is leveraging this advancement in technology that we've seen. So one of the things that has happened in the last actually 15 years, if you really think out, the first smartphone was actually introduced, I think, within the last 15 years. It's hard to believe that we have not had that technology our entire life. We have to realize that we have had such a technology boom over the last 15 years. It far exceeds what we've seen in the last 200 years in technology advancements. So where many businesses up to this point have kind of dabbled in digital marketing strategies just because it was so new and they're unsure about it, this is actually now the time where you have to become fully invested in understanding and implementing strategies that can help grow your business. It's no longer just trying to dabble in it or trying to play around and try to get a handle on it. You've got to get very serious, and you've got to focus on some core strategies that you know are going to get your word out. Today, we're going to be focusing on some of these core strategies that I think that would benefit most small and medium-sized businesses. So the first thing I want to bring up is, I'm going to assume this says SEO. I don't even see a title at the top there. So these are strategies, excuse me. So these are the strategies that we're going to focus on. We're going to talk about three main strategies in today's seminar. The first one is improving your online visibility, getting yourself found online. When somebody actually is looking for your product or service, there's some strategies that you should be looking, some that are very easy to do, some that you might need some assistance with, but nonetheless, all of them are equally as important. There's search engine marketing, which you'll commonly hear referred to as SEO. There's search engine marketing, which the most common one that you'll hear is Google Ads. And then there's another concept called local SEO, which is something that a lot of people overlook, and you really can't, especially if you have a local business right now. We're also going to look at how to acquire new customers through hyper-targeting strategies and data analysis. We're going to look a little bit on social media, retargeting. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing and sales automation. And we're also going to talk a little bit about online reputation. If everybody could just mute themselves. We got a phone ringing in the background.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. So let's first talk about improving your online visibility. So during COVID-19, most people are working in front of a computer all day, and they're going to be using online searches to seek out products and services. The more visible you are when a prospect is performing a search, the higher the chance you have gaining that customer. Now, this is kind of obvious. I'm sure everybody has kind of heard this in the past, I mean, this has been very, very strong for probably about 20 years, more so now than it ever has been. It's more important. So it's more important that you understand all the different ways that you can obtain that online visibility. Some people think of it only as optimizing their website. And even at that level, they don't quite understand what that means. So we're going to talk a little bit specifically about what organic search engine optimization is. Optimizing geo-targeted landing pages is a key way to help, especially if you're a local business or you're a business that actually is focused in locations. We're going to talk a little bit about local SEO, and we're going to talk about search engine marketing, specifically what Google Ads is all about. So organic search engine optimization, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It is the practice of making changes to a website structure and content to increase its search rankings without an ad budget. So that means that it's free. And this is kind of where that organic word comes into play. It also entails the practice of engaging activities off your website to help increase your page rank. So for example, getting quality backlinks to your website, getting reviews about your business, social media that leads to your website, PR, etc. Anything that can kind of get your brand name or a link to your website is going to be part of helping you with SEO. So an example is here we do a search for PCB assembly in Connecticut. And we will see there's a local company down here, Altec Electronics, that just happens to show up in the first page of the organic listings. So that is an example of organic SEO, is trying to get yourself shown here on that first page up as far to the towards the top as you possibly can without having to actually put an ad budget behind it. And again, if anybody has questions, feel free to just interrupt me, okay? Local SEO. So what is local SEO? It allows you to target individuals that are searching for your products or services with location intent. There are 3 primary location-based indexes that you should always be listed in, and you may or may not have heard of these. The first one is called Google My Business, and most people probably have seen it, may not know what it's called, but it is the maps that show up when somebody does a search. If you say like, tell Google, find restaurants near me, you kind of get a map listing. That's coming from Google My Business. Apple Maps Connect is another, and Bing Places for Business, very similar to Google My Business. You need to make sure that you capture and manage these listings each individually. One of the things that I will note as we move forward here too is that I didn't mention Yelp or TripAdvisor or Facebook as an index, but one of the things to keep in mind is that both Apple Maps Connect and Bing will back end themselves with Yelp, TripAdvisor, and Facebook for reviews and for images to actually show in your listings. So let me go through each of these to kind of give you an understanding what these are. So here's that same search that we did before, PCB assembly, but we added a more of a location intent, Litchfield County. And here you can see that 3 businesses actually showed up, Altec, Imperial, and actually Imperial had got 2 listings in there. That means that they must have had 2 different offices at one point in time, and they got their listings separate. So that's something that's kind of messy that they should be cleaning up. Nonetheless, you can see that each one of these has something somewhat in common, and you'll see that they have information. You can see there's some hours listed on one. The last one looks like it's just kind of abandoned. It doesn't look like there's anybody that's doing any activity on it. You can see that all 3 of them were listed in an order. And one of the things that it does, that the Google will do, is it will actually list these in order based on how close you are to the business. So the person that's searching, it'll use the GPS on your phone or the coordinates from your browser if you're on a desktop computer. And the second thing it actually looks at is to see whether or not you have reviews. And you can see that the Altec Electronics has 11 reviews with 4.9 stars. Imperial Electronic Assembly has 1 review and 1 star. So it doesn't matter if you have negative reviews or positive reviews. Google just wants to see that there's some activity on this. No questions?
This is Gia Lance.
Gia.
I have a question.
Yep.
So how do you, I'm a little confused. Is it just that you have to have a website and it's got to have a lot of, how do you do reviews on websites?
So this isn't a website. This is actually a database that Google tracks. It is completely separate from your website. It's internal to Google, and everybody has a Google My Business card if you're a business with an address. You may not have created it, but Google is very good at determining where your business is, and we usually create one. So your business is kind of new, and if you don't have a card, you're going to want to create one, and you create it with the address that your business is out of. If you have a home-based business, you actually have to use your home address. You can't just have a business where you're just trying to hide the address. You have to have a business registered with an address. So I can show you this afterwards. We can kind of go through an exercise, see if you're out there. If not, I'll show you how to create this. Okay.
Okay.
The other database we talked about was Apple Maps Connect. So those of you that may have an iPhone or use any type of Mac device, you guys will probably be familiar with using Apple Maps or Siri. If you ask Siri to, say, find you restaurants in a certain area, or if you've told it to find you a donut shop or whatnot, Apple Maps Connect used to use the Google database, and now they decided they don't want to anymore. They're actually going to create their own database. So they started their own database of all these different locations, and it's called Apple Maps. It's all part of that. And if you take a look at the picture that we have on the right, you can see this is a search on donuts, and it's showing best donut in Delhi. But notice the pictures down below. You'll see those pictures don't exist anywhere on the Apple Maps Connect. They're being pulled in from Yelp. And you can look also right underneath where it says 11 miles towards the location there. You'll see that it has 69 reviews, and notice that they're actually coming from Yelp. So this is what I meant before when I said that a lot of these databases are actually pulling in from other sources. So where you used to be able to just get on it on Google My Business and be done with it, you can't anymore. Now it's actually more of an exercise to get an Apple Maps Connect, get on Google My Business, and then last but not least, there's also Bing Places for Business. So here's an example. I keep picking on Altec. So they're actually a client of mine, and I've done presentations with them before. So I had some images with them, so they don't mind me picking on them. So, so here's an example of Altec Electronics on Bing. Now, the thing about Bing is that it works just like Google My Business. You have to go and you have to actually get your listing claimed. Once you have it claimed, you can actually synchronize Bing with Google. So if you change your hours inside Google My Business, it'll reflect eventually on Bing. It might not be immediate. It might take a day. It could take a week, depending on how fast the synchronization works. Any questions so far? And again,
to get up high on the listing, you need a lot of reviews is the base, right? Is what you're
don't
saying.
necessarily need a lot of reviews. Google is very secretive on how it actually posts and gets the listings. I'll go back, like we'll look at here. The most important thing that it's going to look for is how close are you to the business that's being shown. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're right on top of that business, that you will come up first. Is it likely? Yes, it's very likely. But that second piece is the online reviews. It does look for businesses that have claimed their listing and that are keeping the information up to date, and if they have reviews. You'll see at the bottom of that picture, it says more places. If you clicked on that, it would actually show you a whole listing of a map just similar to what you're seeing up at the top there. They give you a big map and a much longer listing. So it'll actually show you all the places that are in your vicinity that would match up to that search term that you put in.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So another tip, this is a tip for people. So if you have some type of business that is one of the service businesses that are offered by what's called Google Guarantee, it's something that you should be aware. Now, Google Guarantee is a program in itself that you sign up for with Google, and you have to, right now it's more intended for businesses like plumbers and roofers and whatnot. So even though it's limited right now, it's going to be growing, and it's actually going to be growing into a bigger list of services. It's something to keep in mind. See if your service is listed in there. You can do a search and say Google Guarantee Services in Connecticut, and it'll show you the listings that are actually available, which categories are part of it. But the program works by you applying to Google through an application. and they actually vet you. They go through, they want you to show proof of insurance, your license, and all, and whatever else you need to actually prove to them to be in that category. Once you've done that, the nice thing is that if somebody actually uses Google to find you, and even if they don't actually, they Google will do this, but most people won't know that they're guaranteed unless they find you through Google, is that Google will actually guarantee your work. So if you do work for somebody and they're very unhappy about it, Google will reimburse them up to $2,000. Now that's in total, and I want to make sure everyone understands that you get $2,000 in total. So if you're a plumber and the first client that you do work for under Google Guarantee doesn't like their work and they ask for their $1,000 back, then the next person can only get up to $1,000. And if that person, the next person's unhappy and they're reimbursed $1,000, then I think you get kicked out of Google Guarantee. I don't think you get to stay in there anymore. They haven't actually said that, but I believe that's going to be what they do. But the nice thing about Google Guarantee is that once you get into the guarantee, you not only get this badge that you could put on your website, but if you advertise in Google Ads, you have the opportunity to show up at the top. Those of you that might be familiar with Google Ads, you'll see there that it says best local plumbing company, no job is too tough. That's a regular Google ad. There's 3 square boxes above it that say Roto-Rooter, the Schaefer Company, and All Towns Plumbing. Those are coming from people that are paying on Google Guaranteed. And those businesses were verified in Google Guaranteed, and those businesses are actually allowed to participate in the Google local service ads as part of the Google Ads program. Those show up at the very top, and they are very prominent. So if you are a service that actually can participate and you are going to be in Google Ads, it's a no-brainer to look into this to see if it's worth getting your business categorized in here. Any questions on that?
Yeah, what's the cost to get added?
The cost to get into Google Guarantee is zero. The cost
Okay.
to actually place ads is the cost of the ad budget. Plus, if you're hiring somebody to manage it, if you're managing it yourself, you're just paying for the ad budget. Okay, moving on. Tip, I'm going to assume this is geo-targeted landing pages. So geo-targeted landing pages, what are they? So if you have a website, there's some cool things that you can do to try to drive traffic into very specific locations. So the geo-targeted landing pages are pages that websites will use to offer to show where their products and services are offered. So they're unique for a specific location, and they give businesses an advantage when search users are searching for services or goods in that particular locality. So here's an example. So here, if we take a search, we'll see home heating oil delivery, Litchfield, Connecticut. And I happen to live near here, which is why I did that search. So in this search, you'll see that the very first organic listing that shows up is a company called Standard Oil, and the second one is Bantam Wesson. Those of you that are from the Litchfield area will know that Bantam Wesson is one of the bigger companies up here for home heating oil delivery. And Standard Oil happens to be a company that is based out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. They are not even up here. They just happen to deliver this far up. So how did they actually get a listing that beat out Bantam Wesson in Litchfield County? They did it through a geo-targeted landing page. This page was search engine optimized specifically for Litchfield, Connecticut for home heating oil delivery. So any questions on this? If anybody wants me to go into detail on anything I'm going over, I can do that afterwards. Just kind of keep them in mind. I'm assuming this is search engine marketing. So here's an example of a search, PCB Assembly, Connecticut, very similar to what we did before, but what we're showing is the top listings. Each of these top listings have a little a symbol that say ad next to them. That means it's a sponsored ad. By law, if you actually have an ad on the internet, you have to show it as an ad. You'll see keywords as ad or sponsored. Something has to show that it's actually being paid for by the advertiser. So in this case, there's 3 companies that showed up at the top here in Google Ads: Best Tech Inc. of Connecticut, PCB Assembly Electronic Manufacturer, which is Maxway Tech, and Profab Electronics. So these ads are part of Google Ads, which is part of the strategy search engine marketing. This is the practice of paying for traffic leads to your website. And Google Ads is probably the most fundamental, and it is the most profitable way to do this. They do have several different types of channels. The one that you want to use if you're starting off in Google Ads is going to be search network only. And search network is exactly what you're seeing here. Somebody's searching for your product or services. They show up in an ad and people click on it. You only pay if somebody clicks on your ad. And that click can be anywhere from a few cents. It could be like 10 cents, or it could be a very competitive search. You could pay up to like 10, 20, $30 for a search, depending if it's very competitive. Most small businesses in a small location won't suffer from something like that. You usually would pay a lower cost for it. But sometimes if you're in a very competitive industry, then you might have to pay a little bit more. The reason you want to be in Google Ads is because Google Ads will actually be something you can control how far you want to reach, what service areas you want to reach, and how aggressive you want to be in those areas. And that's through your ad budget. The higher the ad budget, the more aggressive you can be. And you can specify that you want to be down to like a single town, several towns, a state, the country, and you'll get the same exposure no matter how far you're out. That's very different from organic SEO. If you are a small business starting off and you're trying to build the business only on organic SEO, you're going to struggle. It's going to take you some time to build up the ability for everybody to see you, where on day one, when you're running Google Ads, you start to get that exposure right away. And you could have a Connecticut-based business and you can be advertising in California and you would be right at the top of these searches with everybody else that's in established businesses in California. And you can just, if you have enough ad budget, you could go head to head with some of these big businesses. So it's an excellent way. And to keep in mind, people always ask, well, do people click on these ads? Absolutely. We've been doing this for a very long time. I assure you that your ad budget will get used every month. Google makes sure that people are clicking on your ads. Any questions on the online visibility? All right, I will keep going and then we'll do a question and answers after in general. Using social media to acquire customers. With people stuck at home, we are seeing social media engagement increasing. In July of 2020, we did see a rise of 10.5% in social media engagement compared with July of 2019. That means that we are seeing people actually engaging more on social media because they are stuck at home and they're trying to find some connection to the outside world. Generally, and this is key, I want to make sure everybody understands this, social media is not the strongest lead generator. In general, I equate social media to the television commercial. If you are sitting at home and you're watching TV and you see a product or service that interests you on TV, you look at it, you remember it, you say, that's great. But how many times have you actually thrown your shoes on, jumped in the car and ran down to Walmart to go buy it that second? Doesn't happen that way. Social media is very similar to that television commercial. You are building up a brand recognition for people and they are going to remember you. And sometimes you can get some leads out of it. Sometimes you can get sales out of it. If you do have, like, say, for example, a time limited offer or sale going on, you can probably get some leads from it. But more often it's going to be like that television commercial where people are just seeing these ads and they'll when they search for you and they actually see your name, they're pre-branded. They're like, oh my gosh, I remember Acme and I know them. I remember seeing their ads, and all of a sudden you're their top choice. They already feel like they've engaged with you at some level, and they're already clicking on your website to go look at you and most likely going to contact you. So with that said, we come into this COVID period. We are now finding that people are browsing social media more often during their downtime and interacting with ads more often. I will admit I probably bought a bunch of stuff around Christmas time based on social media ads that I looked at and I said, that's really cool, because I'm not going to stores and I'm not just seeing things on a shelf that interest me. I'm actually buying stuff that I'm seeing on social media. And that is the case across the board. So if you're not taking advantage of social media, now is the time to actually jump on board. So there are so many different platforms, and what should you be jumping into? And every business will be very different. But what I always try to tell people is that there are two that seem to be a standard for most businesses that are out there. And those two are always going to be Facebook and Instagram. They typically have the highest level of engagement for most businesses and will have the highest return on investment. Does it mean those are the only platforms that will work for your business? No. And I want everybody to take it with a grain of salt that I push Facebook and Instagram. You may find that Pinterest is a better fit for your business. You might find Twitter is. Now, Twitter is a dying social media platform, especially after the political issues that they ran into. I don't know what's going to happen with them banning the president and everything that's been going on there. So future to be seen with Twitter, which used to be one of the strongest years ago, is probably not going to have a good fate in the near future. And keep in mind, I'm not trying to be political. I hate politics, so I don't take any sides. Organic social media. This is something where many people actually go wrong when they immediately try to market themselves on social media. So many businesses will continue to engage in what's called organic only social media. And that is just putting a post on your Facebook or Instagram business page. And for most businesses, organic posts have very low engagement and don't offer many opportunities to gain new customers. What typically happens is you will have a bunch of customers or people that you know that already like you on Facebook or Instagram. And when you post something, they already know about you. They already know you exist. They already know that what you're doing. So you're basically remarketing to the same people over and over and over. You're not gaining new customers. So some business will then take a next step and they try to boost their post for additional engagement. And boosting a post will get you out, but it lacks the technology, the algorithms that Facebook has put together to try to help you grow your business. And the true power of marketing on both Facebook and Instagram is using what's called the Facebook Ad Manager. So if you have not gotten yourself into using the Ad Manager, now's the time to learn how to use it. The Ad Manager allows you to run Facebook ads with special algorithms that help you achieve what's called campaign objectives. And I'll show you what some of those are. But I just want to kind of go back and reiterate what I said there, because I know this is a shock to a lot of people, where they feel that they're getting a lot of bang for their buck just from posting organically on social media. You could do so much more if you're actually paying for these ads. Mark Zuckerberg came out back in 2019, I think it was, in January, and he admitted to everybody that he has saturated his target audience. He knows he's not going to be getting any more Facebook customers. He's pretty much got everybody in the world that's going to be on Facebook. And because of that, what he's decided to do is focus on retention. And with that retention, he is listening to what people are complaining about. And most people complain that they do not want to see the posts from these business pages. So Mark Zuckerberg back, and this was even as far back as 2017, he was throttling back your ability for organic reach. So if you have a social media page and you put a post on it, back in 2017, you are only reaching about 4 to 10% of the people that like your page. So if you had a social media page, you only have 100 people on it, guess what? You reached 4 to 10 people. And those 4 to 10 people already know you. They already know your product or service. Now, some of those people will take that and share it, and they'll share it to their friends, and they'll share it to all their pages they might get into. What ends up happening is you do get a little spike. You'll get some people that are reaching out and they're getting that information, and some people think it's great. Some people just start to ignore it. It's the same information over and over and over. So if you are in social media, I can't stress enough to learn how to play the game with an ad budget and actually get true ads out to a new customer base that doesn't know you exist, and start building up this brand. So when they do search for you, they are going to see your name and say, oh my God, I remember them on Facebook. I'm going to call them first. So here's some of those campaign objectives in Facebook. So this is an example of the ads manager. And this is a picture that I probably grabbed because I don't know who Jody is. So here's some goals that you can have. So awareness is you can actually just build brand awareness, try to reach your business in front of as many people as you possibly can. Then there's what's called consideration goals. And these consideration goals, traffic, that is the most popular one that most businesses can take advantage of. Traffic drives traffic to your website. Your website should be the hub of all your marketing efforts. You should be driving people to that website. And that's where people want to go. If people are searching, they're going to get to that website. If they're on social media, you want to get to that website. All your information should be updated and should be there on a regular basis, and driving people there. And social media gives a good call to action. There's other types of goals, engagement, which just could be post likes and whatnot. If you have an app and you want to try to get people to install your app, there's actually a campaign objective for that. You're going to do video views. Lead generation actually uses the information that somebody knows about a person on Facebook to pre-fill out a form. You could have people just trying to get people to send you messages in Facebook Messenger. And then there's some really cool ones, conversion goals. Conversion goals are fantastic. Let's say you have a form on your website. You can use the conversion goals to tell Facebook, I want people that are actually going to fill out my form. And it'll go out and try to find people that are a possible customer and that will actually fill out the form. And it does a really decent job of it. You can actually do it for e-commerce. So let's say, for example, you were selling a product or something online and you wanted to get people to purchase your product, and you tell Google that to track the type of people that are buying my product. So where where Facebook will know you think it knows your basic information, it knows so much more about you than you would ever want it to know. And what it can do is it will compare every person that buys your product, and it will say what's similar about all these people. And when it puts all that together, it builds up a profile, that type of person, and starts serving your ads to those types of people that are going to be the ones that would buy your product. So, and it could be a service too. I don't want to limit it to a product. So it could be a service. It could be filling out a form on a website. So there's a lot of power to using Facebook ads if you do it the right way. A couple of things that you can also do on Facebook, and when you're in the ad world, and you've probably seen this in the boosted post too, is detailed targeting. So I will admit that years ago, the detailed targeting in Facebook was a hell of a lot better. And the reason it was better is that they used what was called third-party databases. And these third-party databases were basically relationships that Facebook had with these databases that would allow you to, let's say, for example, you wanted to target people that had an income of over $150,000 a year. You could tell Facebook that I only want people that are making over $150,000 a year to see my ad, and Facebook would do that. Now, ever since the GDPR happened and compliance happened, that Facebook has actually gotten hit so hard with compliance issues that they decided to completely back out of every partnership they've had with all these third-party databases and go back to relying on their own tracking. So the way they do their own tracking is they actually track you in Facebook to see what your habits are, what you like, what your likes are, and it kind of builds up your own profile. But in addition to that, they've actually allowed us to it's called the Facebook Pixel. It's tracking code that anybody that's actually seriously marketing on Facebook is installing this tracking code on their website. And anybody that has a Facebook account or an Instagram account is getting tracked by Facebook by this tracking pixel, and it knows every type of website you're going to that has that pixel on it. It knows all this information about you. So it's building up this profile, and it will probably be able to figure out what your income level is based on that as well. So as time goes on, we're going to see the detailed targeting in Facebook getting better and better and better. Not that it isn't bad now, but it used to be so much better, but we're going to see it reach those levels and go beyond with the type of tracking that they are doing. One thing that this is a tip. So if you get into Facebook advertising, you will get to a point in the settings where you have to tell where you want your ads to be shown. Facebook wants you to use this thing called automatic placements. And if you don't know any better, you can use it, but you're going to waste a lot of money. You don't want to allow Facebook to put your ads where it thinks it should go. What you want to do is you want to click on edit placements. There is one thing that I will always ask you to do. Let me see if it's on the next page or not. It is not. So in the edit placements, one of the options is going to be the audience network. And Facebook actually came out with that in response to Google's display network many years ago. And it is a waste of money. It will actually drive a lot of traffic, but it will also be terrible traffic. So do not waste your money on it. Turn that off if you're running ads, because the way Facebook works is that it will look to see if you're running a traffic ad, just trying to drive traffic to your website, and it sees that most of the traffic going to your website is coming through the audience network, it's actually going to start serving more ads to the audience network and start wasting more of your money. It's not good traffic. So you're much better just putting ads in the news feed. So like if you go through your Facebook feed or your Instagram and you're seeing those sponsored ads that come up, those you're getting branded to more. You're more apt to click on those types of ads than you would be on anything that's going to be on the audience network. Audience network is like if you have a mobile app and you're playing a game and you see those ads that are popping up, those are coming from the audience network, and it's terrible traffic. Most of the traffic are people that are basically like fat fingering the screen and accidentally clicking on ads and going to the website. So very few people actually click on those ads that are really interested in it. I mentioned before the Facebook pixel. This is that tracking code that you can put on your website. It allows you to use those conversion-based campaign objectives that we talked about, where if you wanted to track people that are filling out a form or buying a product or service on your website, the pixel is the way to do it. It also allows you to build custom audiences to match people that are coming to your website. So if you have a website and you have a whole bunch of type of people that come to it, and there's probably a common profile that exists between all these people, Facebook will actually build an audience for you that is just like all the people that are coming to your website now, and it will allow you to market to that audience. It is that smart. Retargeting is a concept that I'll get into later on in here. Retargeting allows you to, let's say, for example, you've gone to Amazon.com and you looked at a product. Then you go onto your social media and all of a sudden you're seeing that product on your social media page. Then you go to the Hartford Business Journal online and you see that same product showing up in front of you. That's retargeting. It is a fantastic way to reinforce your product or brand or service in front of somebody over and over and over. Something else you can really do that's very cool is, let's say, for example, you have a customer list of email addresses that you've already established. I don't think these names are real. I hope they aren't. I don't know where I got this picture from. So now I'm a little concerned I'm showing it. It doesn't look like anybody I really know. So we'll just pretend these are all fake. So nonetheless, that if you have an email list, you can take your email list and you can upload it into the Facebook. And I keep referencing only Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram. For those of you that don't know, the advertising engine that you use in Facebook is the same engine that you can send ads out on Instagram as well. So if you take your email list and you upload it into Facebook, there's two things that you can do. You can first tell Facebook to go out and find the Facebook profile for every single one of your customers and build a custom audience that you can market to. It'll tell you how many it matched up. It won't tell you specifically who it found, but it will give you this audience that it'll say, okay, here's your audience, and it'll allow you to market to that audience just as if you're sending them an email. So you can email your customers, and you can put these ads out there that are doubling what you're saying in your emails, getting that message to them twice. The other nice thing you can do is if you upload this list into Facebook, you can also tell Facebook, these are my customers. I want you to go out and find me an audience that I can market to that is just like my customers. And it will do that as well. It'll actually go through and it will allow itself to find all the existing customers that it can match up on your list. And when it matches them, it will put together that profile that we talked about before of what's common between all these people, and it will build an audience for you and say, here's an audience of the same type of people that are your customers that you can market to. I always get the question, what about LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is a great resource for individuals with a niche or a business or a talent. Sales professionals use LinkedIn to source prospects. You'll see them using a lot of tools such as Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Helper, and probably the best one, and I bolded this one, it's called Seamless.ai. I don't know if any of the businesses here could actually would make use of this. This is probably one of the more advanced things I was talking about. Seamless.ai is expensive. I want to say, gosh, I think the cost is somewhere between, I think it's like $1,500 and $2,000 a month, I think it is. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to go to LinkedIn and search for, let's say you're looking for lawyers in Connecticut, and you did a search on lawyers in Connecticut. And typically, if you're using a tool such as like LinkedIn Helper or Sales Navigator, it gives you a list of people. And the average salesperson, then those of you on LinkedIn that might have a CEO title, you probably get like 10 of these email messages a day from somebody who is trying to connect with you and then send you a message and trying to sell their service. I hate that, and I ignore all of them, and it goes away. But with Seamless.ai, what it does is once it builds that list up for you, you click a little button and it uses artificial intelligence to go out live on the internet and will build up a complete list of how to contact that person. And that list is so full, it actually will tell you their address. If it can give you a home address, it's going to give it to you. It'll give you their phone numbers, including their personal cell numbers. It will go out and find if they have personal social media pages, it will try to find those for you. It will give you their personal email address. It gives you everything that you can't do inside in LinkedIn. So it is a great tool if you have that type of money and you have that type of sales force that could make use of it. Retargeting. So I mentioned this before, and I said I would bring it up. Retargeting, also, you probably also heard the term remarketing. It's a form of online advertising that can help keep your brand in front of a bounce traffic after they leave your website. What is bounce traffic? Basically, bounce traffic is somebody comes to your website, they don't stay very long, and they go back to the search results. And that is a typical pattern for a lot of people that are shopping. If they don't know your brand and they look at your website, they may or may not engage with you right then. They're probably going to continue shopping. That's why social media is so important, that if you pre-branded to somebody, they see your business, they go to your website and they're already branded to you, they're probably going to contact you. Most websites, only 2% of traffic actually converts on their first visit. And that's that shopping syndrome. And most people don't get that. You have to expect it. Retargeting is that strategy that allows companies to reach that extra 98% of the users that did not convert right away. There are two most common methods of retargeting or platforms. The first one is through Google Ads. And on Google Ads, I'm sure you've seen that. That's where you've gone to, say, Amazon, seen a product, and then gone on, say, a Harvard Business Journal, like I said before, and saw the ad for that product or that business that you were just looking at. And you're like, holy cow, look at that. I'm being followed on the internet. That's retargeting. Same thing on social media. You may have actually looked at a product on Amazon and you go to your Facebook page and lo and behold, holy crap, look at that. There it is. It's sitting right in front of you again. And I got to tell you, Amazon does an excellent job of retargeting. So those of you that see their ads after a product or service, don't be surprised because they do a really good job of that. Marketing and sales automation tools. We're getting close to the end here, I promise. We'll have plenty of time for questions. This is probably one of those topics that's a little bit more advanced for a growing business, but I want you to be aware of it so that if you do get to the point where you're ready to grow, that you are aware that this exists. So what is marketing automation? Marketing automation tools are platforms that marketers use to plan, coordinate, manage, and measure all their marketing campaigns, both online and offline. Some features that these marketing automation tools have are detailed tracking of your traffic on website at an individual level. And I'll go over some of this in the following slides. Excuse me. You can track and measure the performance of your online campaigns at a much more detailed level than you ever could with just the campaign platforms. You can engage potential leads with custom email campaigns and so much more. So let's go over some of these just so you're aware what these tools allow you to do. So almost every marketing automation tool comes with a CRM. A CRM is a customer relations manager, and it would be very similar to like your contacts list inside your phone or whatever you might use, but it allows you to track more sales oriented information. So the reason this is important, because as your business grows, you're going to get more and more leads. It'll be harder for you to remember every person that you talk to. And let's say, for example, I mean, face it, if you're in business for 10 years, you might have forgot the person that you had like maybe on year 1 or 2. With a CRM, it allows you to have this database of names and allows you to actually go out and maybe email market to them or take that entire list, load it into Facebook and do some very detailed marketing based on your customer base, or even just send them ads If you're in 10, betting years for 10 business, you probably have quite a big CRM. Another feature is what's called an email drip campaign. And this is a common component where a prospect either fills out a form on a website or engages with the email that you send out. And then all of a sudden they're sent a series of emails based on their profile and product or services of interest. So I'm sure that you guys have done this, going on a website, filled out something, or got an email about something and then clicked on it and came back to the website. And all of a sudden you start getting emails from that company. And it's on, you could tell that they're emails that were they're canned, they're set up, and you're getting one after another. It tells about products and services. These are important because, again, most of the time, you'll only see about 2% of your customer base convert on the first time they come to your website if they don't know you. If they know you, you have a much higher percentage of them converting. But if they don't know you and they've come to your website, the nice thing is to try to get them to fill out a form for more information. And if they do, once you have them, then having an email marketing campaign or drip campaign is like having a sales guy that's already like doing work for you on a regular basis. That person can get an email like maybe the next day and reminding them that, you know, that you're still there, you exist. The next day, or say a week later, they might get another one. And then maybe like 3 weeks later, they get another one. And maybe a month later, they get another one. And maybe like every month, they're getting another email from you. And you can even take different directions with these emails. You may have 100 drip campaigns. And let's say, for example, you notice that you are, I don't know, I'll just say you're selling, I'm going to use an existing client. So you're selling barn homes. And one of the things that you may send out in an email is workshop and garages, barn built workshop and garages. And you notice that the person clicks on that and was looking at the pages on the website. They can automatically be put into another drip campaign that's completely focused on barn-based workshops and garages. And then they're only getting those types because that was the type of information they're interested in. So very powerful. But again, this is once you've kind of been up and running and you're more established and you have a list of emails where you can track people online. Sales automation also includes sales automation, is another component that's in a lot of the marketing automation platforms. And what sales automation is, it works hand in hand with the marketing automation, but it works with the salespeople and it works with your CRM. So like, for example, that person that might've clicked on the workshop and garage and they showed interest in it, why wouldn't it make sense to actually maybe put on one of your sales guys' calendar, maybe a couple of days later, put in the calendar and say, call George Huxley because he actually was looking at barn garages and workshops. I think it's probably time that we contact him and ask him if he's ready to buy or something along those lines. Lead scoring is another tool that this has, which is great. So where you may send a bunch of emails out to people using these marketing automation tools, some people may engage, some people won't. And what lead scoring does, it actually scores people that are engaging with you. So if you send an email out, somebody clicks on the barn garages and workshops and they're interested in that, you might increase their lead score by 5. If they go to the the garages and workshops page on your website and they watch a video, these marketing automation tools can track that. And if they watch that video, you can then go back and you can actually increase their lead score by another 5. So what happens is at the end of the day, every potential lead that you have has a different lead score. So when your sales force or sales team or salesperson, even if it's you, sits down at the computer at the beginning of the day and says, who am I going to try to call today? You basically can bring up a list in order of who your hottest leads are for that day. And you can go through and contact them based on how hot they are that day. Bless you. Life of the lead. This is where it gets very scary, where a lot of people don't like to hear stuff like this. Marketing automation platforms actually can track what's called life of a lead. And this is tracking a person. Let's say, for example, Gia, you go to a website and on that website, you bouncing around, you're looking at different pages and you liked it and you don't do anything. You go back. Then all of a sudden you do a search again for whatever that product or service was, and you find their website again. Oh, that's interesting. And you click on their Google ad and you go to their page. You still don't engage. But But let's say you've done this a couple times, and then all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to ask for more information. You fill out a form. As soon as you fill out that form, now what's been happening is in the background, you've been being tracked, but the marketing automation tool didn't know who you were. As soon as you fill out that form, it is now going to associate everything that you did in the past, every page you looked at, every ad that you ever clicked on. It's going to associate that with Gia. And now you're going to be in their CRM, and somebody can go to a page and they can say, oh, it looks like she went and she looked at this ad on this day. She clicked on this ad on Facebook on this day. She's been on these pages on our website. It's going to know everything about you. And that's what is called the life of the lead. And then you can add manual pieces in there where it's phone calls or meetings or whatnot. So all those pieces kind of get tied in together, and including everything that where you've been tracked online.
Sounds scary.
It's not, it's good. It's, I make a living with it. So forms in, I'm not sure what that says. Is it forms in,
Custom landing pages.
custom landing pages? Thank you. Okay. You can create custom landing pages and standalone forms from these marketing automation tools, and they are used specifically to track your leads from specific campaigns. So if you have a Google Ads campaign running and you have a form on your website, this will allow you to track that. If you have multiple campaigns or if you're more advanced and you have a bunch of services that you're trying to capture. So G, I'll pick on you again. So say you were trying to capture on, the like banquets and then catering, two separate businesses, then you could actually have two separate landing pages, one focused more on the catering and one focused more on the banquet hall. And that would allow you to actually have two pages that you're collecting the information separately for. And when you do that, it goes into the CRM in two separate lists, and you can market to these individuals separately as well. Online reputation. This is something that everybody needs to be aware of, because most people, they know what it means, but they don't understand the severity of it. So online reputation management. So during COVID-19, people are shopping for products and services online more and are spending a lot less time visiting brick and mortar locations. So even if you do everything right and you find your prospects through Google Ads, social media advertising, whatnot, you could lose every single one of those leads because of your online reputation. If a client doesn't know you, they're going to research you. If you do any type of search, it'd be so easy to just see a list of reviews. We'll show this later. So like, here's an example. This one individual left a very bad review for a Caesar salad. This could be enough to drive everybody away if it's the only review that's actually left for that one business. Online reputation management. What is it? Online reputation includes strategies that help businesses improve and respond to online reviews that customers leave about their businesses on popular review websites such as Google My Business, Yelp, Facebook, and others. Online reputation management typically involves, at a minimum, being aware of your online presence. You can use daily monitoring. There's alert systems like Google Alerts is a great one. You can just tell it to search out your name or your business name. If somebody mentions it anywhere on the internet, it'll send you an email saying you were mentioned here. It'll give you a click. Proactively asking customers to leave online reviews. This is true. 7 out of 10 customers will actually leave your review if they're asked to by the business. Do they typically leave a good review if they're happy? No, most of the time they leave a good review if they're really unhappy. So if you don't ask for reviews, you're going to load up your reviews with people that are just pissed off. Establishing and adhering to policies on how to respond to online comments, reviews, that's probably more for a bigger company. So if you're working for, say, like a big corporate business and you have a team for marketers, you want to make sure you have a policy that everybody has to adhere to for social media engagement or responding to reviews and whatnot. I can't tell what the title is there, but so basically most people, we've already been being habitually trained to look at reviews. And this goes all the way back. Even Amazon in its earlier days always had these online reviews. Most people won't buy a product or service without looking at the reviews. I mean, think about it. Even subconsciously, if you're not reading every review, you're looking at the number of stars, you're usually clicking on the reviews. And what are the first things you look at? You usually look at what's the top review, like the top 5-star, and then you immediately go look at the 1-star and say, what issues did they have? Excuse me. So Google will actually utilize what they call, and I should have put that in quotes, quality review sites, because I don't think all the ones they list are quality. So here's an example. If you did a search for sports medicine, Waterbury, Connecticut, notice that shows up on the Google 3-pack that we have here on the left. This is coming from Google My Business. We see there's 3 businesses that have very negative reviews that are showing up. Actually, only one has very negative reviews. They all have reviews, I should say. On the right-hand side, this is the organic list of searching. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one and all the way down are all review sites. We see Health Grades, we see Yelp twice, and then we see Vitals. Those are all review websites. And all I did is I searched on sports medicine, Waterbury, Connecticut. I didn't say I wanted to see reviews, but Google is showing me the reviews. And your businesses will show up in these automatically without you even being asked to. It is very easy for anybody who may be pissed off or just wants to know everything about you. All they need to do is just put a search of your business name followed by the word reviews, and it will give them a whole index that they can click on to either read all your reviews, or if they're really pissed off, to copy and paste a negative review on every single one of those. So here's an example: Best Buy, West Hartford reviews. You can just see every single area every listing as a reviewer they can go in. And notice the last one too is Glassdoor. You not only have to keep your customers happy, you actually have to keep your employees happy, because they'll review you as well. And it looks equally as bad if you have employees that are leaving negative reviews on your site or on your reviews. Pay attention to what's called industry-specific review websites. So where the most common reviews are placed on Google, Facebook, and Yelp, those are probably the 3 that every business will actually be affected by. Like I said before, doctors often get reviewed on, say, Health Grades and Vitals. Those are 2 very big ones where you'll see them getting reviewed quite often. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to a lot. This could literally be, for a big business, this could be a full-time job for somebody just watching their online reputation. There's software that's available for you if you don't have a lot of time or your business is big and you're trying to get more reviews. There's software that you can use, and they all work in different ways. There's software that will allow you to just upload like a customer list, and it will track who's actually left reviews already and won't bother anymore. Or if you upload that list and just tell it to keep trying to get reviews, it'll continue to try to get reviews until it exhausted the list, or you give it a time limit. There's ones where, like, say you work in a healthcare office, that will tie into your system for appointments that will actually send reviews after somebody had an appointment with you. So there's a lot of different software that's out there. And again, this is probably for somebody who's got more of a growing business and is looking to try to automate some of these processes. The thing that with reviews is it's so easy to get them. Just ask for them. Don't be afraid to ask. There's a lot of simple ways. You could just send emails to people with a link to a website that says, "Hey, here's a link to the actual website where you can review me. Can you just leave me a positive review?" Now, a lot of the platforms look down on that. They don't want you to do that. And if they catch you doing it, some will penalize you. Like Yelp is notoriously known for doing that. They're notoriously known for hiding your positive reviews. Even if you have a good set of positive reviews, it'll hide them if you're not paying them. So with that said, that is the end of the presentation. We have plenty of time for questions. We are 7:18. I'm going to stop the share right now. Trying to. There we go. And everybody is still, most people are still awake. It's good.
It was excellent. Can we get a copy of the slides?
Absolutely. I will send you, I'll actually make a PDF. I'll send it, and I'm going to send the link out with the recording. So
Okay. I thought that was terrific.
I'll take questions if anybody wants some detailed questions. I know, Gia, you had a few.
I probably have a lot, but I'm not sure where to begin. I think the problem with mine is, so my new LLC, the address is my home address, but I work out of Greenwoods Country Club. So how would I, that's where I want the everyone.
I would,
to know and such.
and I would use the Greenwoods Country Club address. That's what I would do, because that's where the events will be for the banquets.
Right. That's what I want to do. But like, again, I just tried on my phone to go on Catered by Gia, and I just found it just on a couple little, like on Facebook and such, but that's
So
as far
you're
as,
searching on the name. You even want to take it a step further. Here, let me hang on a second. Catering, Litchfield County.
it's not there. I tried.
Let me just see what we get here. All right, so let me hang on a second. I'm going to share my screen again. So you might not have a listing yet. So where are we? Google Chrome. Okay. So if you take a look here, I just did the search. The search was catering in Litchfield County, Connecticut. And this is the Google My Business listings that would show up. So you've got Ciesco, which actually I think she's closing, if she isn't already. I don't even know who the Roasted Beast is. And then you have Chatterley's listing. If you click on here, this gives you a more sophisticated listing of all the caterers that are in the area. So if somebody were looking for somebody, they could click here and they could kind of slide through and see who's in this list. And you can see it's picking up all of Litchfield County here. So it wasn't very specific. And you're not showing up. So if you're not here on this first page, most people aren't even going to go on to the second page to continue searching. So you want to make sure that you're getting that. And so you might ask, how do you do it?
So the question, how do I do that? Right. That's, yeah.
So if you do a search for Google My Business, you're going to come up with a link to it. And if you click on it, it will start you off here on this page, and you can sign in if you're not already signed into your Google page. And as soon as you sign in, it will ask you to start claiming your business. It will ask you some basic information. And then at the end of it, it's going to ask you to verify it. And it's going to give you an option of calling the phone number you gave it, or it's going to give you the option of sending a postcard to the mailing address that you have to get with a code on it. And when you get that code, you have to come back into Google My Business and then register it. Once you have that code and you're registered, then you can basically get in there and update all your information. And then you'll have a location that you can start asking people to get reviews with.
Okay.
Same thing with Apple Maps Connect. It's a different platform. Apple Maps Connect, you can create an ID. And if you're a business, what I always recommend to people is a lot of people have their own personal Apple ID that they might have with their iPhone or iPad or Mac. Don't use that. Create one for your business. Click on here, create one, and create one that with a separate email address that you can use just for your business. Because imagine this, let's say your business grows and at some point you're going to sell it. If everything is under your personal accounts, like if you Google My Business is under your personal Gmail email address and your Apple Maps Connect is underneath your personal Apple account, it's not easy to transfer over to when somebody's trying to buy you. So you want to try to keep all that stuff separate right off the very beginning. Plan for the great things that will come in your future and your exit strategy. So,
Okay.
and then Bing also has the Bing locations for business. Not bong. That's it. Your glass city pipes. Now the bad thing is that's going to be in my cache. So next time I do a search for Bing, everyone's going to see bongs showing up on my page. All right, Bing Places for Business. This is the same thing as Google My Business, the same process. Once you've actually claimed it, then you'll be able to tell it to synchronize your data with Google My Business.
Perfect.
And again,
Thank
Yelp.
you.
You want to make sure you're going to want to also claim your business on Yelp. A lot of people, what they do, however, is they come to Yelp and they sign in and they're searching for their business here. That's not where you want to go. You want to go to biz.yelp.com, and this is where you want to claim your business.
Okay. B-I-Z.
Yep,
Okay.
biz.yelp.com, and you claim your business under here.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll take any other questions.
Lance, I think Carol put something in the chat about, could you put up the last slide, probably right before you ended your presentation?
Sure. Carol, just to confirm, you wanted the last content slide, not the one with my info on it? Jane, if you could just tell me what she answers and I'll share it. I'll bring it up now.
Mhm.
No. I'm assuming she wanted, well, I don't think it was this slide. Maybe she did want this slide. This, I'm gonna actually send this out. So anybody that wants this, if you just contact Jane, you can get a copy of the PDF.
Yeah, she said the info slide, yep.
Yep. All right, I see it. All right. Any other questions?
When you say budget for Google ads, what does that mean exactly? We just say how much or
Yep.
you
So
use that term a lot with me.
the way Google works is if you I'll bring it up. I'll just show it to you real quick and kind of help you understand it. Rachel's going to yell at me because I'm bringing up like personal company information. Let me pick somebody here that you guys won't know about. Actually, we talked about the barns. Actually, that would be a good one. Let me bring them in. This is one of my favorites here, Harvest Moon. Okay. They'll get a little free advertising here. So basically, I'm gonna actually pause the recording here, if that's okay, because I just don't want the sensitive information going out. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm recording again. So just talking about the ad budget. What I want to do is I want to explain. There's a story. I had this one guy who was he sold forklifts. He sold forklifts. He serviced forklifts, and he leased them. Sold used ones, sold new ones, and he was actually doing pretty well. He called me in because he wanted to redo his website because he was looking to try to sell his business, and he wanted it to look a little bit better and polished for a potential sale. So I came in, we were rebuilding his website. In the midst of rebuilding his website, he came to me and he said that he was having a major issue where his competition was literally sending salespeople, sales forces out, much bigger businesses were sending out Salesforce, and they were stealing all his customers. And he was actually in a tailspin. He was really concerned. So he asked me, he said, how soon before the new website is done? And I said, well, we're probably like a couple of weeks from having it done. I said, but I said, that new website is not going to jump into action and save your business. So he wanted, him and I met, and I said, well, let's go over everything that you're doing in a sales world. And he laid out, he had one banner ad that he was running on a website that had a extremely low page rank. It was terrible. It didn't get any real traffic, and he never really got anything from it. He was spending $100 a month on it. And he said he wasn't doing anything else. And I said, okay, so what do you have? What kind of money do you have to put towards an ad budget for marketing? And he said, well, if that banner's not doing me anything, he goes, I got $100 a month. So I said, $100 a month. Okay. And there was nothing really I thought I could do, but I felt bad for him. So I donated my services, and I took the $100 a month and I put it into an ad budget and a Google ad campaign. So $100 a month is really just, what is that? Like $3 a day. So we taking that campaign in an extremely competitive market. He wanted to market across all of Connecticut. And I was a little hesitant. He goes, no, he was really all of Connecticut. So we did it. We put this ad campaign together. I did it. And I did everything I could to fine tune this thing, to squeeze out as much as I could. At its peak, it was getting about 2 to 4 clicks to his website a day. They were very relevant clicks, but it was only 2 to 4. So after we got this thing up and running, it was fine tuned. I went into the office to go talk to him. I walked in, and his daughter and granddaughter worked for him, and they were at the desk, and they looked at me, and it was like I was getting a hero's welcome. They're like, I don't know what you did, they said, but we are turning away business now. So that was from $100 a month. So the budget that I did not think that was going to be enough to move the needle for him, but it absolutely was. So the point I want to make is that you can have a budget that's $10,000 a month. You can have an ad budget that's $100 a month. It's relative to what you need to try to pull in business. If it's not bringing you in business, then it's not worth running the campaign. I mean, people look at it and say, well, I don't know if I can afford $1,000 a month. But if it's bringing you in $5,000 to $10,000 worth of work, absolutely you can. So you have to look at it in the right way. I think we just
Okay.
lost Gia. No, there's Gia. Okay.
Oh, I'm here.
So does that help answer the budget?
I think so.
Any other questions? If not, Jane, I'll hand it back to you.
All right, well, thank you. Very good as always, Lance. And absolutely, if anyone has any questions or follow-up, you could do that with Lance. I'll have the slide deck for you. And just while we're here, just in closing, because we do have our SCORE representatives online who can help with a lot of other aspects of your business if you are looking to grow it. Dennis, if you would just take a second of question before we close, just to offer your services to businesses.
You're muted, Dennis.
I'm sorry.
You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm off mute. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jane. I couldn't quite catch the question you had.
I think what she's
No, I-
saying is that you could advertise SCORE right now.
No, I didn't.
Is that right, Jade?
Yeah, let people know how you can help, Dennis.
Yes.
Well, in case the people don't know about SCORE, SCORE is an affiliate of the Small Business Administration. We have 20 volunteers in Northwest Connecticut, and we offer business counseling free and confidential. It's typical for us to work with startup businesses, for also established small businesses with different challenges that they might be facing, like pivoting in today's climate. But anyway, we basically try to use our career experience to help clients. So certainly, we don't have the expertise of Lance in the social media area, certainly, but we know Lance. We've certainly forwarded people to Lance, and it's a matter of trying to know the territory a little bit.
Sure, and you can look up Northwest SCORE, or you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you with Dennis.
Yep.
Get you a confidential appointment, like you said, and it is no cost.
Hmm.
Well, Lance, you're ready for that glass of wine now.
Is there a phone number that you have for him? For yourself?
For
The-
Dennis?
Or
To call?
If you want to contact us, the best way to do it is to go on score.org website. And if you are interested in counseling, it's a very easy sign up, and you'll be contacted within 2 days.
I did put the website for Northwestern's chapter in the chat. So that is the Northwest Connecticut SCORE chapter. You can click there and you can contact SCORE right through that.
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
I got a text from Rachel, and she's kind of like my boss at the company. She told me I have a typo on one of the last slides, so I have to fix it before I send it to you.
Well, thank you, Lance, and thank you everyone that joined tonight. And we're going to have a couple more seminars, 3 more before the end of June. So thank you to SCORE for sending them out, and we're looking for those.
Great.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Lance. Very nice job.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody, and good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.